Hello, my children. It is I, the darkness within. Talking, talking, talking. Hands, gesturing. Ooh, that's scary.
Natalie Wynn is trying to de-radicalize YouTube. She uses 15 wigs, $1,000 in props, and hours of makeup to make 30-minute videos about the political fights of the internet.
Let's discuss this. And by discuss, I mean you sit quietly and I'll tell you what to think.
This is how political ideas spread. 200 years ago, it was pamphlets. 30 years ago, it was magazines. Now it's YouTube. The problem is it can be a bit of a radicalization machine. You search for what is the West. The first results are fine, but YouTube starts suggesting more and more right-wing content. And eventually you hit a white power video talking about Black people's IQs.
All that stuff, it's very last season. I'm kind of over it.
That's where Natalie Wynn comes in.
Contrapoints, the internet show where we talk about sadness, fascism, sexual deviation, cults.
She creates dialogues between characters and plays all of them. She writes, films, edits it all herself.
How could I possibly be a Nazi?
The result is a pretty complex discussion about subjects like the alt-right, transgender pronouns, climate change, capitalism, incels.
What we have in our hands here is more than a bunch of angry internet misogynists. It's, at worst, a kind of death cult.
She's trying to pull people away from the far right and nudge the left into doing better.
Everyone is going to look back on people like you, and they're going to hate you so much for what you allowed to happen to this planet. Well, those are future people. I am alive now. I am fighting against the kind of reactionary forces that will cause people to double down on their reactionary ideas. I'm changing people's minds. I'm softening them to these issues. I don't want toleration, damn it. I want converts.
A year ago, she had 83,000 YouTube subscribers. Now it's almost 500,000. Her top videos get over 1 million views. She's in the top 20 creators on Patreon, a site where fans can give monthly donations to artists. It's more than enough for this to be her only job.
Why don't we fight the pageantry of fascism with pageantry of our own? And you know who's going to make that happen? Who? Well-funded trans women.
It wasn't always like this. Natalie quit a philosophy PhD program in 2015. She moved to Baltimore for a relationship, which promptly failed.
I dropped out of grad school. I'm going to write fiction. That didn't go anywhere. I was driving Ubers, just teaching piano lessons, being a paralegal, doing copywriting, just anything. It was because of a certain dark moment of my life that I even thought to do something so suicidal as make video responses to alt-right people. Western culture is being destroyed by cucks and by gender-bending, intoxication, and sodomy. You know, things that have never happened in Europe.
What makes your videos unique is that you are not obsessed with fact-checking every lie uttered by the president or by a white supremacist or a misogynist, that you look at the arguments undergirding their ideas and try to unpack those. Why did you decide to do that?
Facts don't matter to people as much as people think they do. People don't believe because of facts and evidence. They believe things because they're part of a story that they tell themselves. And so I guess part of what I'm doing is understanding those stories and understanding psychologically why are these stories being told.
And who sees themselves as the most rational guys in the room? Often young white guys, her primary targets.
Look, if your ideas stand up to rational scrutiny, why aren't you willing to discuss them in the free marketplace of ideas? Well, I'm going to discuss them in the free marketplace of ideas as soon as you get out of my room.
How do you think about what will draw in, as the angry 21-year-old white guy?
I mean, what really, and they obsess over is this kind of free speech thing. Mm-hmm. To them, it seems terribly oppressive to have to constantly capitulate to these activists who want them to stop saying certain words or to have to, use the correct pronouns for trans people. That privileged obliviousness is something that I was raised with. And I do find it possible to put myself back in that mindset for the purpose of persuasion. Hi, boys. It's Points again. Same queen, new look, try to keep up.
One reason Natalie is an unlikely missionary to those guys is that they often relish in belittling people like her, trans women.
I get so many comments at the beginning. Speaking as a straight white male, it's just like, okay, here we go. Yeah, sometimes they're nice comments. I know how rare it is to change someone else's opinion on the internet. I gotta admit, you really have opened my eyes. This old redneck trucker enjoyed your video much. I'm trying to learn what the world is now that I'm no longer in the disconnected ether of commercial transportation. Contrapoints woke me up and pulled me out of the rabbit hole of the alt-right, and I didn't wake up until someone more smart than I could actually spell it out for me.
Really excited to see your presentation.
I'm glad.
Some see her as a champion, like these art school kids she spoke to recently.
Please join me in welcoming to the stage the woman The Verge once described as the Oscar Wilde of YouTube, Natalie Wynn.
A lot of people traditionally have been shut out because they're doing work that simply an editor or a publisher is going to look at it and be like, what? Like, hi, I'm like a trans woman. I want to do comedy about fascism. Like, not that many people are like, yeah, here's a bunch of money, go do it. I think that this is a piece of a strategy. It's not a whole strategy. And I certainly do not claim to be able to single-handedly achieve much on my own. I'm just dealing with opinions. Well, I live for trans jokes. I just don't think cis people are very good at telling them because they don't know enough about trans people to know what the funny things are. I see myself as sort of like the left's immune system. No more than that. So, those are my thoughts. Like, comment, and subscribe. The end.